The Lenten season takes us to different places. Last Sunday, the Spirit drove us into the desert, out into the wilderness, a place of solitude to spend a great deal with God, hopefully, as never before. The second Sunday of Lent takes us to the mountaintop experience, and that is the summit of Mount Tabor, the sacred place of transfiguration. It's an isolated hill, and it's high and apart. So the second Sunday of Lent is all about the mountain. Mount Tabor, and then in the Transfiguration episode, the two key figures in the history of salvation. There's Moses, representing the law, and Elijah, the prophets, were mentioned. And both of them encountered God with Moses on Mount Sinai and Elijah on Mount Horeb. In the first reading from the book of Genesis, Abraham took his son Isaac to Mount Moriah, the place of sacrifice, which is a sacred place, sacred site for the Jews and Muslims and Christians too. The Transfiguration episode. In the Transfiguration episode, Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain. And so from this standpoint, you can see the parallel between, for example, last Sunday, the Spirit drove Jesus out into the desert. And then today, Jesus led them up a high mountain. So it is God who drives us, takes us into these places. Not us, but of course, you can do it yourself. And so what we notice here is that not all the disciples were chosen to get a glimpse of the glory of God. And only a special, favorite, closest, or dearer to him than the rest of the disciples, or shall we say, the privileged few, were taken to the mountain, which possibly was unfair to the rest of the disciples waiting at the foot of the mountain. But there's nothing we can do. This is the whole scenario. So the Transfiguration, which was an unveiling or a special place of revelation or a special moment of revelation of Jesus, was reserved only for a few. And that Jesus led the inner circle to a high mountain apart by themselves. So on the Lenten season, try to separate and isolate yourself. That separation and isolation are the essential ingredients of this season. It's only for 40 days. It doesn't cover the whole year. And so on the peak of the mountain, as much as possible, you don't talk too much. I don't know about you, but others would probably spend more time in taking pictures and videos than silence with the Lord. As you know, the mountain is a place of encounter with God. That mountain is God's dwelling place. It's breathtaking. That when you climb a mountain, there is a real sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. And for some, it's bucket list. It is an incredible experience that you cannot completely express in words. And it is one of those aha moments in life. The second Sunday of Lent sees us elevated, so it's high and apart. And these are two words that we are going to focus on the second Sunday. And to do so, when you are on top of the mountain, you get a panoramic view, renewed and refreshed, with a better view of the place, but especially spiritually speaking, of your own life. And since we are talking about the Transfiguration story on Mount Tabor, it is a special place of revelation, and a special moment of revelation. It is heaven on earth. And so together on the second Sunday of Lent, we climb to the peak of the mountain. What do? You marvel at the awesome sight. You gaze, you wonder, and then you observe the view. You imagine. You have to use your imagination and absorb as much as God's plan for you, or absorb as much as you can God's plan for you, because definitely God will speak to you and you're going to listen. You're going to breathe the fresh air and appreciate the beauty of nature, God's creation, and simply admire the place and be grateful you are on the mountaintop. Remember, it is reserved only for a few. And most importantly, enjoy the journey, the winding roads, and then cherish every moment of the glimpse of the glory of God. And so again, from this reflection, we can safely say that the Lenten season is a transfiguration experience. And that following the experience of Peter, who said, "Lord, it is good to be here." And that how do you converse with the Lord? Do you speak or keep silent and then listen? And so from this experience, from a cloud came a voice, "This is my son whom I love." So listen to him because God is here. On top of the mountain, we have to maximize our time. This is no ordinary mountain. You have to absorb every single moment. As this is only temporary, we're not here forever. It's only for a few days. And so we will be coming down in a moment or shortly. And so listen to him. Amen.